Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain for You. I am still at the Airbnb. I think my son is probably a good 90 miles into his 125-mile ride. And so far I have not gotten a call from him on with a request to come rescue him off the road somewhere. So I guess he's doing well. He's going to make the 125 miles. I'll keep you posted. This is a cycling. And so we're out here in Lewisburg, PA. Beautiful river right here behind the property. So today's topic, I want to talk about how to dial down the fear. And I know this is a challenge for most of us. So I'm going to enjoy the nature. Breathe in the peace. Exhale the noise. Breathe in the nature. Exhale the artificial indoors. Got a couple cars going by, but that's okay. Shouldn't affect things. Alright, so how to dial down the fear. Fear of the symptoms, fear of our future, fear of this thing called TMS. So I will say, first of all, let's define fear. Fear is usually very productive, a good thing. If there's a bear on the trail in the woods, fear is designed to launch the stress response, the fight or flight response, optimize your entire system for performance, escape, and survival, right? Fear has a very useful purpose. Now, anxiety, on the other hand, is often confused with fear, right? Anxiety is when we are concerned about or exerting caution over a future imaginary event that is not happening right now. So, fear has a purpose. Anxiety, fear of the future, doesn't really serve us too well. It only keeps us stuck. It keeps stealing our right now present moment from us, because all we're doing is spending our time worried about, thinking about, and projecting our right now situation for the rest of our life. And so if in fact you want to dial down the fear, let's start with dialing down the anxious, worrisome thoughts about the future. So if you're noticing yourself in that anxious, worrisome state, ask yourself, am I noticing a current, real, imminent danger right now, or am I projecting my current status into the future? If it's future, decide, say, you know what, I'm going to notice right now, and we may be uncomfortable. We may be massively uncomfortable. But here's the next part of dialing down the fear. If you don't know what's causing your symptoms, you're going to be terrified. You're going to be fearful. And it will be really challenging to not project this fear of what's currently going on, the symptoms, the pains, the symptoms, digestive, neuropathy, whatever it may be. It's really difficult to stop projecting that into the future if you don't know what's causing the symptoms in the first place. So please, if you're new to my channel, you don't know what this TMS thing is, or you've heard about it, you think you know what it is, let's get a good grounding in this stuff. painfreeyou.com. Watch the 20-minute video there. That is a real nice explanation as to how pain starts and how it becomes persistent. All right? That's like foundational, 101. If you don't know what TMS is, it's going to be real hard to dial down that fear. Now, once you understand what it is, the next thing is to figure out whether or not that is what is causing your symptoms or pains. And a real good way to identify that is to investigate how your pain or symptoms behave. When do they come on? When do they go away? When do they spike? When do they settle down? Notice some patterns there. Are they based on a schedule? Are you good for the first hour of the day and then they come on? Are your symptoms less challenging when you are otherwise engaged in living life and having some fun or doing something productive? investigate how these symptoms or pains behave, because that's a really good tell. It's a real good indicator, because structural problems don't go on vacation when you're having fun with some friends. Structural problems hurt 100% of the time, all the time. And so, really important to investigate. If you'd like some help, there's an assessment at the ppdassociation.org, ppdassociation.org/symptoms. There's like 30 questions that ask similar types of questions. The more you say yes to, the more likely it is your situation is mind-body. And then I also have a short 10-question quiz at danbuglio.com/pain test. And there's the short link to that is yourpaintest.com, and it'll flip you over to danbuglio.com. So take those assessments. And now once you understand what TMS is, and you've done the assessments to figure out that your symptoms or pains behave a lot like something created in the brain, not a structural physical problem with the body, that's a real good foundation to starting to dial down the pain. So a lot of people will, or dial down the fear, excuse me. A lot of people will say, but okay, I get it. My body's not the problem, but I'm still afraid of the pain. It hurts. I don't like it. And so again, this is where we use the accurate knowledge to reassure ourselves that even though it hurts, it's not a good indicator of the condition of our body, right? Nothing is being damaged by the pain. The pain is not a reliable indicator of damage. It is just a hyper-protective, overprotective brain that is misinterpreting signals from our body as dangerous and thereby turning on pain. And the more fear and attention we give it, the higher the significance is of the pains or symptoms, and the longer the duration that they'll stick around. So dialing down the fear is really one of the things that will help you massively to reduce the intensity of the symptoms and have them stick around for less time. So dialing down the fear, clarity, certainty, a belief that, you know what, I've ruled everything else out. The doctors either scratch your head and go, we don't know why you're hurting so bad, or they'll point to something on your image study and say, well, there's the problem. But yet they'll still often say, yeah, but that shouldn't equate to the amount of pain you're describing. And people will say, but I got a bulging this, a herniated that, or I've got a tear, a meniscus tear in my knee, or a rotator cuff tear. There's lots of people with those tears and bulges and herniations that have no pain at all. And unless you literally had a traumatic event that caused that right at the moment your pain started, it's likely that you've had that tear for a while. So I'm not convinced that some of these imaging studies are really any good indicator of what's going on and what's causing the pain. Do the assessments, figure out that it's TMS. Once you've done that, then it's time to dial down the fear. How? Through accurate information. If you've been freaking out about the symptoms for so long because you weren't really sure what's causing it, well, this will get you a step in the right direction to dialing down that fear. And I don't know if you remember me saying it, but fear plus the attention we give to our symptoms is what makes them chronic or persistent. So if we can dial down the fear, it's going to bring us a good way there towards reducing the symptoms. If we can take our attention and shift it away towards other things in life that are more important, doing normal things, and not always focusing on or freaking out about the symptoms, then I'll tell you what, take down the fear and the attention, the brain eventually gets bored and these symptoms can start to fizzle out. So dialing down the fear, accurate information, accurate knowledge. And if you're feeling anxious, worrisome, having catastrophic thinking, one of the things that I teach to my coaching clients and group coaching clients is we don't have to take those thoughts seriously. We don't have to do anything with them. Our thoughts are not always accurate. They're not always true. So why do we put so much weight on these thoughts? And I will state, we believe what we think and say most often. So if you're believing and saying fearful catastrophic thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to get better, your brain's going to believe that. And do you think your hyperprotective, over-vigilant brain is going to settle down if you're constantly in the freak-out mode? No. Will it settle down if you're constantly ruminating on these fearful thoughts, worries about the future? Not likely. So dialing down the fear is probably a good first step. And the way to do that is to really get clear and certain that your body's not the problem, that you just have, through a lifetime of scary experiences, physical, emotional traumas, your brain has just learned to become more and more and more sensitive to danger. Your nervous system, as such, gets more and more sensitive to things that are going on in the world. And once we get captured by the symptoms and we become hyper-focused on them, then it's easy to understand why they've become chronic and have stuck around. So take what you can from this video, dial down the fear. It's the first step, because if I just say ignore your symptoms, number one, I've never said ignore your symptoms, because that's absolutely impossible. And even if I thought that was a good idea, it's impossible to do if you're still terrified of them. That's like running across a bear on the trail in the woods. And somebody goes, ignore the bear. Are you kidding me? How are you going to ignore something that could eat you for lunch? So we can't ignore our symptoms. We can choose to be indifferent to them. It's a completely different animal. Look up those two words in the dictionary. You will see they are not the same thing. Indifference is showing little or no concern. Ignoring is, to me, just la 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 la, I'm not paying attention. That doesn't work, and it's not possible, especially if you're terrified of the symptoms. And indifference is really tough too. So all the things I've been talking about in this video about dialing down the fear, by gaining the accurate information and getting very certain and clear on what's going on, that'll absolutely help, because it gives you the clarity and certainty you need so that you can jump into the calm reassurance that says, hey, I know I'm okay. I've done my homework. I know what this TMS thing is. I've done it. I've connected the dots. My symptoms are behaving like TMS. I've done the assessments. So essentially that means your body's not the problem. You're not broken. And I don't believe you're broken mentally or emotionally either. You know, TMS by definition means you're not broken physically. Your brain's creating the pain. But that doesn't mean you've got a mental or an emotional problem. It just means your brain's in an overprotective state. And so these concepts here will absolutely help you dial down the fear, gain that clarity, so that you can begin to shift your attention away from the symptoms. The more we do those two things, dial down the fear, shift our attention away, the less fuel these symptoms have to keep on running. So I think that's what I got for you today. I'll let you take another look at this beautiful river behind the property here. And I guess I will see you guys and gals tomorrow. Love you.